Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Elliot and welcome to This and That Reviews, where I take movies and compare them to other movies. And in this review, I am going to be comparing three movies to each other and telling you that somehow the best one was a Tubi original free to stream service movie. So this is really random because I saw I saw two of these movies almost back to back, and then I just saw another one right now, and I was like, this reminds me of those other two movies that I didn't do a review for, and I saw. So I'm just gonna compile all of them together and say this is the definitive triple threat, but only see one of these. So for the too long didn't watch people, the best of these is Cinderella's Revenge. I'm not to be confused, or is it Cinderella's Curse? Cinderella's Curse, not to be confused with Cinderella's Revenge. I'll have the poster in the thumbnail, but it's Cinderella's Curse, not to be confused with Cinderella's Revenge, because there are two. And if it is the opposite, it'll be in the thumbnail. That one is the best one. It's on Tubi. In this genre of what all three of these movies are, it's somehow the best. And I'll go into that. The second best is probably the Fear Street Prom Queen. It's fine. It's like just right there. And the worst of these is Carrie. The new one, not the old one. I've never seen the old one. So what these movies are, it's just like main character gets bullied, seeks revenge kind of deal. Prom Queen is less so that, but it does feel because it's set at prom and because that's the main thrust of the movie, it feels very much like Carrie. And there's also like a bullied girl in that movie. So even though it's not about the bullied girl necessarily getting revenge, it's a slasher movie, I still kind of put it in this category of movie. It's essentially, like bullied girl and, like a bunch of people are really mean to her and there's a lot of death. I guess that's more of the broad version of this movie, of this thing. The reason why Carrie, the new one, not the old one, because again, I haven't seen that one. The reason why that one is at the lowest part of my list is because literally the entire movie is just set up so that you are okay with all of these characters dying. So like her teacher's really shitty to her, her mom is really shitty to her. There's a scene where her friends or her enemy people at school are really shitty to her. It's just a movie where there's different scenes where it's just a collection of scenes where people are being shitty to the main character, Carrie, played by Chloe Grace Moretz. And it's all set up so that at the end, when she murders everybody, you're okay with that happening. And that's it. And the thing about it is it's not really a movie. It doesn't feel like a movie. It's a collection of scenes. It's a collection of, this is why the girls at school are mean. This is why the counselor at the school is mean. This is why the mom is mean. This is why the teacher at her one class is mean to her. And then it's just the prom scene, and then she murders everybody, and the movie's over. And in that way, it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like I could show you this movie in YouTube clips. You could just separate all of this into YouTube clips and it's the same experience. And then when you get to the actual thing that you came for, which is all the death and destruction and murder, it's all done in CGI. Now, I assume that the original is probably better for that exact reason why I thought that this was a negative. There's something about the CGI deaths in this that's just so unsatisfying. It's just so cartoony. And it just looks really, really bad. And that's pretty much it. That is the end. And then even like that as a comeuppance, the final shot in the movie kind of feels like it sucks. And I won't spoil that. I mean, I guess you could look it up. but if you really want to know, I won't spoil that. And I like, even just the final shot in the movie left me with a bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, none of this was good. The prom sequence is unsatisfying because it's CGI, and then you're gonna leave on that, and it felt weird. Fear Street Prom Queen would be my next tier up. Now, this it fixes a problem that I had in the other one, in that it isn't CGI, and a lot of it is practical, or at the very least, a lot of it looks practical. Like, it's very obviously not CGI, as opposed to being very obviously CGI. And there are like CGI things, but I mean, for the most part, there's a lot of practical things. And I appreciated that of it. And just as background, Fear Street, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, that original Fear Street trilogy on Netflix, Carrie is on HBO Max. This one is on Netflix. And I just resubscribed to Netflix, which is why I was like super excited to see it, because I originally saw the original Fear Street trilogy, and that is a series that is very endearing to me. It came out around my birthday, and which is currently now, and it came out around my birthday years ago, and I loved like every single one of them. They were bad, and they were like campy, but they were so fun, and like the kills were crazy. The meat grinder sticks in my head to this day. I won't spoil where that is, but if you watch the trilogy, it's great. From that point forward, I just knew, I was like, this series is gonna be great. Like, I'm so excited. It's such a cool concept. It's like a fully realized, like 3-part, different era, like story. And even though some of it doesn't hit as well, I will forever thank that movie for giving me good as evil. It's such a good line. Again, I won't spoil where that is. But I was like, I got to that line and I was like, this is why I stuck with this trilogy. This is why this series is great. And it's just like, it's such campy fun. It's just such campy, great fun. And that's what it is. And so I was really excited to go into this one. And that one is bad, campy fun. And this one is just bad. The story isn't great. The logic is insane. I'm a person that very much has the ability to suspend their disbelief. And the logic in this movie is insane. The idea in like the main premise of the movie is that they are at prom. They are in the auditorium, and they are having prom. But each character is like, hey, let's leave prom and go to the boiler room. Let's leave prom and go to the locker room. I don't know if this would be allowed. I mean, as a person who went to school, if they had an auditorium, other than going outside and leaving mid-prom, I don't think any of this would be allowed. You can't just, I'll be back, I'm gonna go to the basement. There would be people at the door saying you can't do that. You can't just wander around school, but they have to wander around school so that they can get killed. And all of this killing is happening at this school at the same time that these teachers and principals are at this school, and the amount of time that it takes for them to realize bad things are happening is insane. And that's not to mention the ending. If you don't want me to spoil the ending for you because you're planning on watching this, which I don't think you should, this is your spoiler warning, and I guess you could watch the movie and then come back. But I feel like once you've seen enough movies, nothing is a shocking ending. So if they made, like when you're watching a movie and like, you know, like there's a person that's like the mean guy, right? The mean guy that's just mean to everybody. There's no way he's the killer, right? Because it's the quiet guy. It's the quiet, super nice guy that's the boyfriend, right? That's like that would be the twist, right? Because it would be so stupid if it was just the mean guy, right? This twist is it's the mean guy. It's the mean guy. And it's just like, and that's a spoiler without a spoiler. But in this movie, it's just the mean guy. And I got to the ending and I was like, that was a very obvious ending. This seems like a really obvious, like you could argue that if it was the quiet guy, which happens like midway through, that you're like, oh my God, it's the quiet guy. You know, like that's cool, right? And I thought that's cool, right? Like what a cool twist. And then when it wasn't, and then it was just the mean guy, I was just like, I didn't like this at all. I like this much less. Of the two, I like this much less. Or you could have made it the main character. That would have been cool. That would have been a cool, like this cool, like fractured psyche. I would have liked that. You could have made this Carrie. You could have made this a better, cooler version of Carrie. I mean, it wouldn't make sense in the movie, and it would kind of feel like a High Tension. It would kind of feel like the ending of High Tension, where it just doesn't track. It doesn't make sense. But at least that would have been interesting. I mean, like, I don't know if that would have made me like it more, but it would have been interesting. It would have been more interesting than it's the mean guy. And I think that, like, that made it, just the ending and, like, how this wraps up, I was just like, you guys just decided to use the name Fear Street to sell this bad movie. And it felt more, this movie felt like what I thought the original trilogy was going to be of movies. I thought it was going to be campy and bad and feel like Goosebumps. And that's what this was. And the other one was campy and bad, but great deaths and overall like a great story. Like it like the story, like it starts you on this campy bad, like this is so silly, but like once you start seeing the gore, you start really investing into the movie because that's what you came for. What if I feel like if you're watching a horror movie and the gore shocks you or the gore grabs you, it's like having a good line in a dramatic movie. It's like having a funny joke in a comedy movie. Once you get that, like, it's like, oh, that was really good. Like, all of a sudden you invest in, you're like, okay, this is worth my time. This is worth investing into because I got what I wanted. I want to see more of this. And then it gives you more of that in 3 separate movies. And then it expands the world and expands the story. It's so good. It's such an underrated gem on Netflix. The original Fear Street, like 1978, whatever the timelines that they decided to do. If you just look up Fear Street Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, it's so good. And that brings me to the Cinderella movie that I looked at right before I did this video, or I started this video, and can't remember the title. You know what? I can pause this. I can easily pause this. Cinderella's Curse. That is the much better version of all 3 of these. It's also the better version of Cinderella's Revenge, because I believe I saw Cinderella's Revenge first. And when you watch Cinderella's Curse, you realize how much of Cinderella's story is so, like, it's so good for a horror movie. I don't think I ever realized that watching Cinderella, but the idea of, like, this girl whose father dies, who is taken in by an evil stepmother and evil stepsisters, and how she's like a commoner, and, you know, she has nothing, and she has to live at this house, and she, you know, like, she goes to this ball where everybody is like this, you know, like well above her standards of, you know, wealth and whatever. You start to realize how much it like lends itself to be a horror movie. And they just go balls to the wall crazy with this movie. Like I said in like right before this, where if a horror movie scene can grab you to where you invest in the rest of this movie, that scene is the maid scene. Like wait till you get to the maid scene and then start judging the movie. Like just understand that that's where the movie like really starts, and then it goes, and then it like the conclusion to this movie is just bonkers. The entire end sequence. I saw this right after I saw Carrie, and I was like, this is the movie that I wanted Carrie to be. It's like super practical effects. The gore is insane. The comeuppance is insane. You go on this journey with her, and you just want her to shit on everybody. You just want her to murder everybody. To the point where when she's murdering people that you want her to murder, you're like, is this too much murder? Is this too much? Like, I know that they were really mean to you. I know, like, what they did to you, like, was crazy. I know that, you know, like, it's all insane what was happening to you this entire... But is this too much? Is this too... is the punishment not fitting the crime anymore? Are you going too insane? And the movie is like, yeah, we are going insane. Because the ending is not what you think it's gonna be. And it just takes it in such a good direction. So like, not only is it better comeuppance scene than Carrie, it's better end sequence, and it leaves you off on a better note than Prom Queen. But it's like a fully realized horror version of Cinderella. If you want to see the bad version of this movie first, you could watch Cinderella's Revenge. I think that it's the sleepy, obvious version of this movie. And this movie, it just does it well. I think it does everything that Cinderella's Revenge is trying to do, but I think it does it well. And I think that that's the difference. It's like, you know, like when people compare things to like, you know what, I'll do like an easy example. Like when you watch The Beekeeper and when you watch John Wick, it's like Beekeeper is trying to do John Wick, but it's like John Wick is just doing the same thing but better. It's just, it feels like that. Cinderella's Revenge and Cinderella's Curse. Cinderella's Curse is doing everything that Cinderella's Revenge is doing, but better. And I think that Cinderella's Curse I think it's very slept on. I think nobody has watched this movie, and I feel like if you want a good revenge movie and you're a horror fan, watch this movie because it's crazy.